Here are the faces of America's disabled. Disabled or not, here are the faces of American citizens. They were born, and in many ways they contribute to the success of this nation. But sadly enough, their physical and mental differences causes them to be disregarded.
Well, they weren't treated equally because of their disabilities. I think they weren't offered the same luxuries that the mass society are allowed.
Okay. How are they treated today?
Well, they're treated a lot better today. They're treated more as equal in our society, I believe.
Do you think that they belong in our society?
Well, I think that everyone will continue to have their own opinions, but this act, I believe, has forced us as Americans to treat the disabled as equals, and I believe that everyone should be offered the same opportunities on an individual, whether based on, I think it should be based on more their hard work, and their return should be based on that rather than, if they're disabled or not.
Thank you all.
The act she's referring to is the American Disabilities Act of 1990. It revolutionized the treatment of the disabled by giving them the civil rights they deserved.
Out there in this splendid scene of hope spread across the south lawn of the White House.
If you were disabled, how would you feel about the act?
If I were disabled? Well, like I said, I think that it would be hard enough for me if I were disabled to just emotionally, physically, and mentally deal with my own disabilities, let alone everywhere I go. And you still see it now. People in a wheelchair, people that look different, or people that talk different, they're all treated differently. And that's hard enough for you to deal with than if, you were trying to become something or succeed at something or simply go to work and support yourself. If you weren't allowed those opportunities, I think would be like a double whammy. It would make it twice as hard on you. So I think that the act has done a lot for all of us, disabled and not disabled, because again, any of us at any given time could become disabled.
In the beginning of this documentary, you saw a girl trying to get into her school. She couldn't get into her school because of these steps. Thanks to the American Disabilities Act, this girl is now able to get in and out of her school. Come with me and I'll show you the law. It's the law. All public buildings must provide ways for the disabled to get in and out of buildings, such as ramps. Thanks to the American Disabilities Act, Braille has been placed in public buildings for the seeing impaired to get around. Thanks to the American Disabilities Act, even the hearing impaired can learn what's going on in their communities.
Things like your bank, credit card, and Social Security information. Please help us stand up and be counted by filling out your 2010 census form.
How do you wish to be treated from those who are not disabled?
Just like anybody else. No special treatment. That's all I want to be, is respected. That's it, like a normal, everyday person.
Okay. And what do you want from your country in terms of civil rights?
In terms of civil rights, I want the same rights as you have, and she has, and he has. Everybody else does. I don't want anything special. I don't need anything special. I just want to be treated as a normal human being.
And I will never forget, as I'm serving this table of 10, there was one particular kid who had, I don't know, something was wrong with his motor skills, but he could not feed himself. And I'm serving dessert, and I'm serving chocolate mousse, which everybody's ready to dive into. And so this one kid was waiting, just kind of sitting there. Everybody else was starting to eat, but there were two kids on the side of him, to his left and to his right, and I saw them stop eating. They didn't even really start to eat, but they took the time and fed him his chocolate mousse. One would feed, and then as the spoon was going down, another one would feed him. And they did this until he was finished, and then they started feeding themselves. And that story, I mean, if you want to put a date on that, that story has stayed with me for over 15 years. And I will never forget, as a waitress, I ran to the back and I boo-hoo cried, because I realized that they may not have all that we have in terms of motor skills and maybe intellectual sharpness, but I don't have all that they have, the compassion and the willpower to try to be as normal as possible. Their normal oftentimes shows how abnormal I am as a human being. And so whatever is due to them in terms of rights, protection, respect, they need to have it. It needs to be a law. It needs to be an enforced law. Because just because they may walk slower than I walk, talk differently than I talk, or, might have a different physical look, it doesn't negate the fact that at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, they are human beings.
Without a doubt, the American Disabilities Act, signed by President George Bush Sr., revolutionized the treatment of the disabled. There is still work to be done in our communities to help the disabled experience true equality. The fight continues with knowledge. For more information on the civil rights of the disabled, log on to www.ada.gov.